Welcome to the Star Chamber. I'm Ryan Swayze, a retired Air Force Lieutenant Colonel and the founder and president of the Walk the Talk Foundation, a nonprofit that advocates for and advises currently serving and former military service members going through the arduous journey of administrative processes and investigations in our government.
And I am Francesca Graham, a retired Army Lieutenant Colonel and the Chief Operating Officer and Chief Advisor for the Walk the Talk Foundation. For all our returning guests, welcome back. And for our new listeners, thank you for tuning in. Before we begin this week's topic, please do not forget to hit that subscribe button, check out our Walk the Talk Foundation website, and hit that donate button if you think we're doing a good job. Also, check out our newsletter, the DoD Times Redacted, on all the socials, including LinkedIn, X, Instagram, and Facebook. Links in the description. All right, Star Chamber listeners, let's get started.
The worst thing of all. There are many bad things that can occur in the military. Loss, death, betrayal. Anyone who has worn the uniform understands the risks that are part of the calling. We train for it. We steel ourselves for it. We tell our families that we accept it. In the work we do at the Walk the Talk Foundation, we see other losses too. Dismissal from the military, loss of pension, loss of benefits, loss of promotion, loss of rank. These are not small things. For many, they represent decades of sacrifice, identity, and financial security. These losses can upend families and futures. But there is something far worse that can happen to a service member. Far worse than losing a retirement. Far worse than losing a stripe or a star. If you've only encountered me in writing, you might assume I'm critical, sharp-edged, maybe even jaded. There's a tone that can come through, direct, unsparing, occasionally laced with sarcasm. But in person, I'm far easier going, less cynical than my prose sometimes suggests. I laugh easily, I generally like people, and I give the benefit of the doubt more often than not. Before the military, I was even more that way, open, trusting, perhaps even idealistic, at least in a way that wasn't naive, just hopeful. I believe institutions, while imperfect, ultimately aimed at the good. I believed leaders, by and large, tried to do the right thing. But age changes you, experience changes you, war changes you. It would be dishonest to pretend otherwise. The Department of Defense and the Department of Veteran Affairs have increasingly acknowledged one form of moral injury, the kind born from battlefield trauma, the moment when you survive and someone else doesn't, the split-second decision that replays in your head, the weight of having taken a life. These wounds are real. They cut deep into the conscience. But there is another kind of moral injury, one less comfortable to confront for our departments. It occurs not when the enemy violates your values, but when your own institution does. There are things that should not occur in the military, and laws exist precisely because we know this. Unlawful restriction, retaliation, reprisal, sexual harassment, sexual assault, etc. These are not battlefield tragedies. They are preventable failures. They are betrayals of the very values emblazoned on recruiting posters and command coins. When a service member suffers moral injury in combat, we understand the source. War is chaotic, brutal, and morally complex. When a service member suffers moral injury because the institution meant to embody honor and integrity instead protects abusers, silences whistleblowers, or retaliates against truth-tellers, the injury is different in origin, but very similar many times in effect. The sleepless nights, the hypervigilance, the rumination, the erosion of trust. The body and brain do not particularly care whether the threat came from an IED or an Inspector General office that refuses to act. The outcome, if left addressed, can look hauntingly similar. Then comes what we often call enduring the star chamber. For those who seek redress through the military's administrative systems, the process can become its own form of trauma. Take the Inspector General, or IG system. In theory, it is a safeguard. In practice, we have seen investigations handled by undertrained and/or underqualified personnel, cases assigned to individuals with little experience in complex investigations, processes that stretch for months, sometimes years, with little transparency. Investigations become lengthy and opaque, communication sparse, findings delayed. And throughout, the complainant and/or subject remains in limbo, whilst conflicts of interest lurk in the background. Then there is the Article 138 process, seeking redress from the very chain of command that either carried out the wrongdoing and/or allowed it to occur. On paper, it is a right. In reality, it can feel like appealing to the same authority that already decided you were expendable. What unfolds over time resembles psychological Chinese water torture. Not one catastrophic blow, but drip, drip, drip. The constant waiting. The repeating retelling of events as cases are handed off from one investigator to another. The frustration of watching avoidable errors, misinterpretations, or just outright bungling of the case. Each drip manageable on its own, together corrosive. And this is not merely a personal issue. The trauma inflicted or prolonged by administrative dysfunction detracts from readiness. Service members consumed by years-long investigations are not focused on the mission. Leaders entangled in defensive bureaucratic maneuvering are not focused on warfighting. We say we are preparing to fight the nation's wars. Too often, people are instead fighting their own institution. From my own experience, and from the shared experiences of more than 470 clients we have worked with through the Walk the Talk Foundation, patterns emerge. We see people ground down by the sheer length of investigations. We see people exhausted by ineptitude, corruption, and/or conflicts of interest. We see people ruminating endlessly in their trauma because the administrative star chambers provide no timely closure, no sense that someone, somewhere, is competently and impartially handling the truth. This is why we are adamant about coaching, including the work our awesome partner Corey Weathers provides. Because beyond the tangible losses, promotion, pension, benefits, etc., there is a more devastating loss waiting in the wings. And this is the worst thing of all. Becoming someone you never wanted to become. The bitter version of yourself. The perpetually suspicious version. The quick to snap, slow to trust, chronically cynical version. The version defined not by service, but by grievance. But here's the saving grace in all of this. Unlike some definitions of victory, such as holding others accountable, forcing institutions to reform, compelling investigators to just do their jobs, this victory is within your control. You win or lose based on whether you allow them to defeat you internally. You may, quote-unquote, lose your Inspector General complaint. You may never see a wrongdoer held accountable. You may watch your case close with findings that feel disconnected from reality. And yet, you can come out stronger, clearer, more resilient, more grounded in who you are and what you stand for. That is not naive optimism, it is hard-won truth. As I endured my own years-long IG fight, I began to see something unsettling. I was changing. I was less trusting, quicker to anger, more cynical. I did not like who I was becoming. And that frightened me more than losing the case. So I went to therapy. I confronted the spiral. I did the work, not to fix the system, but to protect myself from becoming a casualty of it. In the end, I ultimately lost my IG case, as so many do. But I won myself back. Because to have lost the person I was, the person I loved, the person my family deserved, well, that would have been the worst thing of all. Until next week, everyone. Bye.
Well, that's it for this week's topic. We really appreciate you tuning in. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and check out our foundation website at walkthetalkfoundation.org.
And feel free to reach out and give us feedback. You can get a hold of us via Facebook, X, Instagram, LinkedIn, and our foundation's website. Details in the description section. Thanks for tuning in, and see you next episode.